Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and make sure you put repeat question and it will get moved to the top. And if it was super long, maybe shorten it up a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And before we get started, I do have to mention the Card Prism binder. If you guys are looking for a super high quality binder that's maybe a little bit different than the others, you know, it's not the same Voltex binder like every other person has. This binder actually fits top-loaded cards and sleeve cards all in the same binder. And you would be supporting a fellow Pokemon YouTuber named Roxandy. The dude is 18 years old. He already has his own binder company, and he has some of the best Pokemon content on YouTube. And then too, if you use the code BEARD10 at checkout, you receive 10% off your entire order. So definitely check them out. All the links are in the description. But all right, first question is from @LuluColby8882. What's a better get, an enhanced booster box or a regular Journey Together booster box? So that is so tough to say because we never get two different booster boxes. So we're kind of, in uncharted territory here. But we have the regular Journey Together booster box on TCG Player. It says there's 217 available with 45 different sellers. But it does say there's 7,087 total sold, which is crazy because if we look at the enhanced, which has 1,478 available from 118 different sellers, so way more, but total sold is only 2,556. So that's kind of crazy right there. But I'm a big fan of both of these. Like I said, we never get two different booster boxes. So that's why I like it. I love it for the enhanced booster box because it's probably going to be the only booster box in the entire Scarlet and Violet era that is enhanced, which would be super, super crazy. And I know right now, people say that they don't care about this set. You know, it's printed like crazy. You know, Destined Rivals is way better. The black and white set's going to be way better. But that's when you know it's a good thing. People didn't care about Fusion Strike. Even Evolving Skies, people didn't care about for a while. I was just talking to Punch Out, and they had so much Evolving Skies, they literally did a giant sale for $100 a booster box because they couldn't get rid of it. And then a ton sold. But, I mean, people did not want to overpay on that. I mean, Chilling Rain, people didn't want to buy. Charizard UPCs sat on the shelves. They're like, oh, there's so many of those printed, they'll never go up in value. And same thing with the 151 UPCs. We were buying those at $70 a box. So yeah, I'm a real big fan. And then too, if you are trying to get a bunch of these, I would definitely wait a little bit longer. You know, both of them are coming down in price. We're finally about to actually hit summer right now. You know, Destined Rivals is about to be everywhere. And then we're going to get the black and white set. So definitely hold off a little bit longer, closer to MSRP. But like I said, it's a good thing right now that people are sleeping on Journey Together and they're saying it's just a completely mid set and they don't care that there's two different booster boxes. That is a really good thing because then it's just going to get cheaper for us. I only have a few enhanced booster boxes because like I said, you know, I'm waiting for prices to come down, but I would love to get, you know, the same amount of regular ones as I have enhanced. You know, like maybe 4 enhanced, 4 regulars. I think that would be super, super cool. But I am very, very patient when it comes to this hobby because I've been here forever. You know, I have no problem picking up Journey Together a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever it is, you know, if it does go down a lot in price. So, yeah, it's tough to say, though, like I said, which one is technically better because we've never had this before. I'm still a big fan of the enhanced. Next is from @BaldStyleGenomics. Hey, Beard, is Battle Styles the best short-term play in Sword and Shield? All the other alt art sets are $400 or above, and to me, it seems like Battle Styles hits $500 before Evolving hits $5K. So Battle Styles is a very solid set that I really feel like people are sleeping on. It's finally getting some love. You know, last sold 208, 210, 208, 208, 199. So I wouldn't go crazy on Battle Styles because it's always going to be a slow mover just because it's not a super popular set. But, you know, it could definitely probably reach 400 before Evolving Skies reaches 5,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. And once we get into the thousands for those booster boxes, it does take a while. But yeah, I think it's totally safe picking up a few of these for sure. You know, I have a few of them. Like I said, they're just kind of slow and steady. You know, maybe one day they might really pop off and people might appreciate it, you know, since it's the first Sword and Shield set that brought us alternate arts. But I don't think it'll ever go insane. It's just going to be nice and slow and steady. All right, next question is from @NennyPazes9408. I probably butchered that. I apologize. Hey Beard, awesome video as usual. I have the Greninja SIR from Twilight Masquerade. Do you think it's a hold or should I make a trade towards the Giratina? So we'll check that out. The Greninja got up to $410. Now last sold $302, $295, $299, $260, $316. Now in my opinion, I think the Giratina is a much better card basically done by the most popular artist in Pokemon right now, and really put Giratina on the map. When the Greninja, when this card came out, it was like an $80 card. You know, a lot of people did not like this card. They did not like the crown. You know, I remember one person saying it looked like one of those tie-dye shirts that you get at the beach. So I really feel like the Giratina is a much more popular card. I've definitely heard a few people say they don't like it. It's just too busy, which, you know, I get it if you don't really like that type of style of art, but the Giratina is definitely one of the greatest cards we've ever gotten in all of Pokemon history. And the card has actually done a lot for the hobby. It got people to appreciate some of these artists a little bit more, which I'm a big fan of. Got up to $708. Now last sold $525, $521, $532, $522, $537. Not to mention, it's in a set that's, you know, starting to go crazy to where less and less people are going to open up these boxes. So there's not going to be a ton of more Giratinas hitting the market. When Greninja with the Twilight Masquerade, we could still get massive reprints of Twilight Masquerade. You know, that is still very, very possible. So in my opinion, I think it'd be a solid trade up if you can get the Giratina, you know, add a couple more cards to it or a little bit of cash or whatever it is. Next is from @AlipRX3. Hi Beard, love your videos. Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate that. I am currently looking to get the alt arts I'm missing, like the evolutions, regular, not VMAX, Brilliant Charizard, Crown Zenith Gold Card, Silver Tempest Lugia, etc. You think now would be a good time to buy? I was trying to hold off a little since summer is approaching, but I feel like they're coming back up. So we'll take a little look. So here's the Lugia. So coming down right now in price. You know, we're getting sales close to $250. Now, this card was a $115 card at one time, but I'd say it's been mostly around $150, closer to $200. So in my opinion, you know, this is technically like a $200 card. The market's pretty hot right now, but I feel like this card could get back to $200. You know, that's where it likes to retrace to. And we will check out the Giratina V-Star. This card got up to $220. Coming down right now, last sold, you know, $175, $160. And this card did get below $100 quite a few times. I mean, it was literally a $60 card at one time for a little bit. So in my opinion, I would definitely hold off a little bit. Some of the evolutions, like the V cards, you could probably go ahead on some of those, some of the cheaper ones, because I mean, the average price for those for a long time was around, you know, $80, $90, and they're getting close back to that price. So as long as you're not overpaying a ton compared to, like, you know, the average price of what the card was, it's not too bad. So yeah, I'd probably definitely start off with the evolutions, then go Giratina, then like the Lugia and Charizard. And there is a small chance that some of these cards do pop off this summer, but just know they will eventually come back down. Every card that pops off will, you know, retrace somewhat at least. You know, Giratina probably won't get below $100, but, you know, I could see it at $125 again, no problem, $120. And like I said, Lugia, I could see that a little over $200. And the Charizard right now, it's coming back up in price a little bit, but still it's around $200, so not terrible. All right, next is from @JoshHigdon4951. Captain Beard, where's the best place to purchase showcases to display cards at shows? I have not heard Captain Beard yet. That is funny. So I started off with just getting the cheapest ones on Amazon for like $60. I actually got them at a garage sale, but that's where they're from, is from Amazon. They're brand new. I got them for $15 each at the garage sale, but they're like $60. They're okay. You know, they get the job done. You can't fit a ton of cards because they got the barriers in there, and they're pretty flimsy. So if you plan on doing a ton of shows, they're definitely not going to last. So you might as well just get a little bit better one here. Like I like this extra large one here where you can actually, you know, lock it and you don't have the barriers in there. You can fit a ton more cards in there. You can get one with these little side walls so you don't have to sit and open up cases constantly. But you got to watch those a lot more because, you know, people could steal. But honestly, one of the most popular ones are ones like this right here, where you got like the little lock and key, and it's just completely flat, and you can just put cards wherever. But I'm going to upgrade because, you know, like I said, I started off with these cheap ones. That's what I have right now, but they're starting to fall apart. I think I'm going to go with these Zion cases. Now, these are pretty expensive. You know, these are like $200 a case. But, you know, I'm a big fan of these. I think they look pretty sweet. And like right now, I'm only vending like one table at a time, but I plan on getting, you know, at least 2 to 3 tables eventually and like going all out. But yeah, after the next card show, I'm going to order a few of these, which is actually this Sunday at Punch Out Gaming in Forest Lake, Minnesota. So if you guys are in Minnesota or Wisconsin or anything like that, definitely swing on by. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'll be there vending and recording. And then, you know, we're going to have other vendors there. We're going to have a mini donut truck outside. Plus, if you guys have never been in Punch Out, it's basically the best game store in all of Minnesota, hands down. They have so much stuff. And then 2, I'm going to be doing a new thing for every single card show. I'm going to let, a couple fans come behind the table and vend with me. We're actually vending together for a little bit, and then I'm going to give them the rein, give them the mic and everything. And, they're going to cover the table for like 5 to 10 minutes so I can actually go out and get a little break. Because doing a card show all day by yourself is kind of a lot. You never get to go to the bathroom because it's, super busy a lot of times, or you can't get any food. But I think that's going to be a ton of fun. And honestly, I've been doing that the entire time. I just wasn't always really putting it on camera. But, I've let quite a few fans just come behind the table and watch my stuff while I run to the bathroom or get some food. But all right, next question is from Lil Daryl. Love that name, 5067. Sup, Beard? How do you determine lightly, moderately, and heavily played card conditions? I picked up a few vintage cards and don't know the value because they are not near mint. What's your examples of the condition? So a lot of times you can really just check like PSA cards, even though PSA cards, are kind of iffy on the grades. But it kind of says it on there too, like a PSA 7 is near mint. So you can kind of get an idea of what these cards are supposed to look like. But in my eyes, a near mint card has a little bit of whitening, maybe 1 to 3 corners, just a little bit. Maybe a small scratch or something like that. Like it's very minimal, if anything. And then lightly played, it's just a little bit worse than near mint. A little more whitening, maybe a couple more scratches. Again, no creases or anything like that, or bends. And then moderately played and like damaged and like heavily played and stuff. That's where we're starting to get into like some bends and creases and stuff, or like some really, really bad like edge wear. But yeah, you can definitely just check these graded cards to just kind of compare. Like I said, PSA, every PSA 7 is kind of different, but you could check, CGC, tag, whatever you want to check. But to be honest, almost every single person has a different idea on condition. So just try to be as picky as possible, I guess. Next is from @JustDanny1. Hey Beard, big fan here. Never miss one of your videos. I appreciate that. Hope you can guide me on this. I have a box of EV Hero tins, 6 tins. Each tin includes 2 Evolving Skies, 1 Fusion Strike, and 1 Brilliant Stars. I want to sell trade the whole box, but I haven't found any comps. Should I value them by adding the price of each pack? Love your videos. It shows when someone loves what they do. Keep up the good work. So I'm guessing you're talking about these Hero tins. So we got a bunch of sales of the actual tins sealed. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, if you're talking about like a complete full case of them. But yeah, we do have a sale down here with 6 of them, with 2 of each at $245, says there's Evolving Skies. And we got another open case down here at $245. But yeah, always check eBay sold listings if you guys are not sure. A lot of people are checking on their phone. You just got to go to advanced options and you can scroll all the way down to sold listings. But on the laptop, you got to hit advanced, and then there's sold listings right here and completed items. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Next is from Mike McClellan, 7026. Question: if a pack fresh card is off center with no whitening, no dings, bends, or creases, will that make the card less than near mint? No, that is definitely still near mint. If it's like crazy off center, then people would just kind of consider it, off centered, but still near mint. Next is from Spinach Now. Man, we've got some crazy names today. Hey Beard, love the videos. I'm hooked. From your experience, are single prices following sealed, or is it usually the other way around? With Sword and Shield boxes going up, can we expect the cards in them to follow suit? Does not always work like that. It really depends on like the cards and the popularity. The only times where like the card really follows the box is usually with promos. If the box comes with promos, the box gets more expensive. The promos usually tend to follow a little bit, but still, sealed and singles are a completely different market. That's why I always say single cards will always go up and down in price, like a lot more than sealed products. When sealed products is a lot more steady, they might drop a little bit, but they're going to bounce right back up and stuff like that. So next is from QuickScope660. Question: would you trade sealed for slabs as a vendor perspective in order to get more inventory? So as a vendor, you could definitely probably do that with some of your lower end sealed products. Do not give up your super nice stuff that you've been holding for a long time. Because as a vendor, you'll probably have another chance to be able to buy some sealed product from somebody for a decent deal. Every card show, I got somebody trying to sell me some sealed. So next is from Tina V7117. Going to my first Collecticon, what would be your best strategy to get the best cards? So definitely figure out exactly what cards you want and figure out the market on those to a T. Like I want you to know the market on those cards better than every vendor in there, because that vendor has to worry about, thousands of cards when you're focusing on like 5 to 10 cards. So I want you to become an expert on that card with recent sales and all that, check a bunch of different places. And then you got to look around. And if you're looking for something super clean, like if you're really picky about condition and if you find one clean right away, just know if you come back an hour later, there's a good chance it's gone. So if it's super, super clean, like you think it's going to get a PSA 10 or anything like that, then you definitely should buy it right away. You might be able to find one a little bit cheaper, but it probably will not be as clean. Now, if you're not nearly as picky about conditions and you're just looking for the best deal, then definitely shop around, find out, what table has the cards you need, ask them their best price, and then just go figure out which one has the best deal and pick it up. But I wish you good luck. Next is from @Robert Magallanes 8561. Thanks for the awesome videos, Beard. Think the XY full arts will go up in price with the new megas coming this year? PSA 9 slabs specifically, Lucario. PSA 10s are expensive. Thank you for your time and have a great week. Yeah, they'll probably definitely go up in price a little bit, probably not a ton, and it really depends on which ones, it's not just going to be every single one, but I definitely feel like some of the more popular ones will pop off a little bit. Next is from @TCG. Hey, Beard, question. 5-year hold, which honestly is how these all should be. I get a lot of questions like, what should I do in 6 months? If you guys are investing into Pokemon, especially right now with these prices, you cannot be thinking about 6 months. You got to be thinking at least 3 to 5 years minimum. But the rest of his question was, would you rather invest in 6 Paldea Evolve booster boxes, 2 Fusion Strike booster boxes, or 1 Evolving booster box? So when looking at all three, I really feel like Evolving Skies is the greatest set we've ever had, and I feel like it will get very, very expensive. Fusion Strike, solid set, but it's nowhere near Evolving Skies, and Fusion Strike is getting close to $1,000. So in my opinion, if you can find a really clean Evolving Skies booster box, I'm a big fan of that. Now, 6 Paldea Evolved booster boxes, what's nice about that is you got, options. With 6 booster boxes, you could, sell 2 of them off once they hit, 500 or whatever it is. You can, trade 2 and keep 2 till, you're 80 years old or whatever. So I love that. But here's the thing, Paldea Evolved could technically get a massive reprint. I know it's one of the oldest sets in the Scarlet and Violet era, but it's definitely possible. And when looking at all three of these sets, there's a lot of people that are not big fans of Paldea Evolved. There's no really chase SIRs. It definitely has the best illustration rares out of all the Scarlet and Violet era sets, but it's definitely weak in the special illustration rare department, variety-wise. Since it's all Gen 9 Pokemon, and you guys know how a lot of people just hate the newest generation every time. So in my opinion, if you can find a super clean Evolving, I'd probably go with that. And then for second, I'd probably go with Paldea Evolved because you have so many options there. Next is from Chubb. Hey, Beard, I pulled 2 Umbreon SIRs from Prismatica, sold 1 for 1,000 to get some sealed stuff. I got an Evolving Skies ETB and a Lost Origins ETB. What else should I get? Definitely a couple booster boxes. I know right now it's kind of tough. Every booster box is pretty expensive. But if you're planning on holding for at least 3 to 5 years, it's not the end of the world that you're overpaying a little bit right now, so keep that in mind. But like if you can find Destined Rivals for a really good deal, I would definitely scoop that up. Stuff like that, or even Destined Rivals ETBs. But if you got a few ETBs, a couple booster boxes would be very nice to add to that collection. All right, next question is from AJ Fish Pokey. Hey, Beard, do you think it's better to spend your money on singles and sealed that you like when you see a great deal, or should I put that money aside to save up for a bigger card that I can't afford typically? So back in the day, I had that same problem. I couldn't decide on what to do, so I kind of went every other. So 1 month, I just picked up some cheaper cards that I liked and some sealed and stuff, and then the next month I saved up for like one big card. And I'm so happy I did that because the big cards that I was picking up, which at the time seemed super expensive, they're worth, 10 to 20 times what they were. So yeah, just maybe go every other, and it's always a good thing when you're collecting stuff that you enjoy. Next is from JNA22. I'm going to Card Party. I want to trade some of my raw and graded cards with vendors at the show. First time doing this. What is your advice on how I should prepare? Figuring out starting price, expectations on negotiated price, and best way to exchange payment. Venmo cash trade. Is it best to do this the first, second, or last day of the show? So I'm going to answer this first, but I got a little surprise for you. So I want you to, look up the total of all of your cards. You got to have that entire total on TCG Player or Collector, whatever it is, whatever you want to use. Make sure you do it the day before so it's just super up to date. Now, a lot of vendors are going to want to look through your stuff and pick out your best things. If you're trying to sell everything or trade everything at once, stick firm to that. Definitely ask around. Do not just go to the first table. Definitely ask what everybody's paying, what they're trading at. I want you to ask every single vendor in there. Then go back and, figure out which one has the best deals and which one is willing to take your entire collection. Because it really sucks when your collection, let's say, is worth $1,000 and you have, let's say, $650 worth of solid cards and the rest are kind of smaller cards. and they just take all your good ones. So then you're stuck with $350 worth of cards that not a ton of people want. It would take a really long time to sell individually. But yeah, it's so easy to get ripped off at card shows. And that is actually my little surprise. You do not have to worry about getting ripped off at Card Party because I will be there all 3 days. So what I want you to do is hit me up on Instagram or email me and come find me. I'm pretty easy to spot in person also with the beard. Make sure you show me your profile on YouTube because that's how I know everybody. And I will personally help you sell and trade your cards to make sure you are getting the most value. And I will also look through your cards to make sure you don't have any like really clean copies of cards in there that could grade a PSA 10 that you're just trading away. So definitely come find me. I will help you get the best price possible. But yeah, I'm going to try to help out as many people as I can at Card Party. So if you guys are big fans of mine and if you're coming to Card Party, definitely hit me up. And if you guys are looking for something specific or, trying to trade or sell, I will definitely help as much as possible. But all right, next is from @Jesus. Yeah, do you think it's a good investment to hold on to my Armored Mewtwo and Victini Hollow, both in a PSA 10 English, or should I sell them? Thank you, love your videos, and you too, laugh out loud. Appreciate that, I love you too. So I would definitely hold on to both of those, especially that Armored Mewtwo. That is a crazy card. That could honestly be a very, very expensive card one day. The pop on that thing is ridiculously low. I think last time I checked, it was 220 or something. So definitely hold on to them. Those are grails. Next is from @SpongeBob. Do you see Chinese cards holding value in the future? If so, will it be just Chinese exclusives, or do you see boxes like the Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon gift boxes doing well? Thanks for checking that crystal ball. You keep underbalancing Mew. Love your content. Thanks, Beard. So I feel like the exclusive Chinese cards are going to do very well. And then again, the more popular stuff, Charizard and Evolutions, are probably going to do somewhat decent. But that exclusive Mew EX card, where there's only like 1,000 of them in the world, was just selling at about $4,000 or $5,000, and now it's selling at about $8,000, $9,000, which is super, super crazy. I'm even a massive fan of a lot of these exclusive Chinese cards, which I'm going to start picking them up soon before I get too far behind. But I definitely feel like the Chinese exclusive arts, especially the good ones, are going to hold decent value and do very well. All right, next question is from @Journey of Dylan. Where did you get the Mew and what is it called? So this Mew, it's just a life-size PVC statue. I actually got this locally, but I think they sell them on eBay for a few $100s. Super cool. I'm a big fan of it. And last question is from @TheXPups1583. Who do you like to watch for Pokemon YouTubers? So I definitely do not watch nearly as many Pokemon YouTubers as I used to when I first started my channel, because I was constantly learning, editing, thumbnails, titles. But now since I'm kind of doing my own thing, I don't watch nearly as many. But I love to watch Danny Phantom still, Opossum Bud, Rock Sandy. But those are basically my 3 most watched channels. And then now that I'm vending a lot, I am starting to watch more vending videos to try to figure that out. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to improve. But like for my regular videos, I'm kind of doing my own thing now. That's why I also don't live stream with anybody. I'm kind of a loner. I just like to keep my head down and just keep trucking. I don't like drama or anything like that. So there's no drama on my channel ever, and there never will be. When I started my weekly market updates, nobody was doing anything even remotely similar. All we had was top 10 Pokemon would do like the top 10 big sales. And then like my weekly Q&A, Twice Baked Jake had a Q&A for a little bit, but it wasn't doing it weekly. And, hundreds of people would not get their questions answered, where every single person will get their question eventually answered. And same with Throwback Thursdays. I don't know one Pokemon YouTuber right now that does a vintage video every single week. If there is one, please let me know down below, because I would not mind watching that, because I'm a big fan of vintage. Vintage just doesn't get very many views. So a lot of people do not like to make vintage videos. But yeah, I really like to watch the creators who have been in the hobby for a very long time, because they actually truly love the hobby and they're not here just because it's cool. And I really feel like they have the most knowledge to give, not just in the Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet era. I'm talking all around Pokemon knowledge. And they were here during the bad times and all that too. But yeah, I've had a crazy idea where we do a Pokemon trivia live stream where we literally put creator versus creator live so they cannot look anything up and really test their Pokemon knowledge. I honestly feel like a lot of channels would be so scared to do it, and I don't think they would do it because they would not just be Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet era questions. We have almost 30 years of Pokemon history where all the questions would be coming from. But yeah, I feel like it would be super fun, and I really think it would help people so they can kind of figure out who they want to watch based off their knowledge and not just like how many subscribers they have or like how flashy their editing is or like their giveaways and stuff like that. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, I just started a TikTok. Otherwise, you can hop over to my Instagram or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.